Hi friends, Shannon here, aka Cards by Shannon Lee. I am a design team member for Kat Scrappiness, here today to share with you how to create a spooky Halloween card with the new Witchy Boo Crew stamp set. Okay, I want to share with you some of the images. I've colored 3 of these images ahead of time, but I'm going to put the coloring at the end of the video. So if you'd like to see me color, I color the witch's dress and hat and the ghost. You can stay tuned all the way to the end of the video and you can see how my color combinations and how I colored those images. So we're going to be using the images from the Witchy Boo Crew, and then we have the Cat's Color Studio cardstock, which I am using the bright white 120 pound cardstock, which is my new favorite white cardstock of all time. So I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of the bright white cardstock. I'm using the Never Ending Circles, and what I did was I didn't die cut the circle. I tried that, it didn't work, because what I needed was a die cut circle of masking paper. And so the masking paper, when I tried to die cut it, I tried to die cut it on a piece of regular paper. I couldn't separate it from the regular paper. And then when I die cut it on the just the masking paper on the platform, it picked up too much debris from the platform, so it wouldn't really stick very well. So what I did was I took a circle, outlined it, and then cut it out with scissors. So that's how I used the Never Ending Circles. Next, I have the Holiday Village border, and I have a piece. This is 6 by about 3 1/2, but we don't really need a whole 3 1/2. It's probably a good 2, maybe 2 1/4 inches. So that's how we're going to make our border. And then we have the Within the Folds Sentiment Sampler. And that is where I'm going to get my sentiment for my card. Okay, to die cut the Holiday Village border, I have my black cardstock. And I also have the border. And I'm using the Spellbinders Platinum 6. And so I'm using the Platform Base A, Platform Top B, and 2 cutting plate C. And so I have 1 cutting plate down. I'm going to put my paper down on the cutting plate, and then the border on, or the border face down, or cutting side down on the paper, and I want it the long direction so that it's not so hard on my die cutting machine. I'm going to place my plate on top and just run this through. So for our Holiday Village border, I'm not finished with that yet. We're going to put some yellow cardstock behind the houses so that it looks like there's a spooky glow in the houses, but I did need to die cut this first so that I could place my moon mask so that it appears like it's coming from behind the houses. I want to center that up on the page, but I want it to look like it's rising behind the houses. So get that mask down. I want to make sure I have a couple of cut edges on here that I don't want to show. So let me move this just a little. I'm going to turn this around. So right about there. And I hope this little rip in my mask doesn't show. So I have my blending brushes, and here are the inks that we're going to use. We're using Distress ink, not the oxide. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use Stormy Sky and Faded Jeans or just one of them. We'll start with Stormy Sky and see how that turns out. And then Chip Sapphire and Black Soot for sure. But I'm not sure if we're going to use the Faded Jeans yet. It depends on how my coloring or my blending comes out with the Stormy Sky. So I'm going to ink up my blending brush. I'm going to tap that off quite a bit on my glass mat because I'm going to start on the moon and come off the moon just around. And we don't want that ink heavy because this is where the moon glow is. So we want that really, really light, but we do want color. So I'm not sure if you can see on screen how light this ink blending is, but it is quite light. I just want to make sure I got full coverage all the way around. Okay, now I'm going to come in, ink up my blending brush again, tap that off, and now we're going to go around it again, but kind of leaving that glow area and coming farther out. So we want this heavier. And this is not looking so good right now, but stay tuned because we're going to make this look fantastic. It's coming out kind of blotchy. But that's okay because we're going to be covering this up with darker ink. And just trying to smooth this ink blending out some. I wonder if I came from off the page onto the page, it would look better. So I'm going to pick up the residual ink on my mat, come back, try to smooth out that ink blending. And this, it really doesn't take a lot of practice. You have to know when to tap your ink off first so that it's not really heavy, and that's the step that a lot of people don't do, and then they're disappointed with the results of their ink blending. Another thing that you can do is once you do your ink blending, walk away from it. Don't continue to add layers upon layers. Walk away from it, let it absorb into the paper, and then come back to it in an hour or two and see what your results are. Because a lot of times the first I don't know how to say this. When you first do your ink blending, it's not going to look as great as it does after it absorbs into the paper. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, I think that we got enough of this down. And like I said, you have to watch the full process to see how this comes out. Now, I think that's enough that we can go straight to the chip sapphire. I don't think we need any of the faded jeans. And so I'm using the same blending brush because that's my dark blue blending brush that I used for the stormy sky. And so I'm going to start down here since this is the area that's going to be covered up. So in case it comes out too dark, which it's not, it's coming out nice. Ink up the brush, tap, tap, tap. And I want this heavier because this is my night sky. And it's amazing how spooky this moon looks when it's all done. And I can, after I've removed most of the ink on the brush, I can come closer into the moon, try to cover up any lines that may be there from the ink blending of the other color. I'm going to flip this around so that I'm only getting ink on the right side of my glass mat so I don't end up sticking my hand in it. Starting from the bottom again, which this is the bottom of my card. And going in both directions when you're ink blending is also good because you have ink on all sides of the bristles. Pick up this residual ink. No need to waste that. And I'm going to speed this up as I finish with this chip sapphire and lay down the black soot. So what I did off camera was I cut a 3/8 of an inch strip from a scrap of yellow cardstock, and I did a 3/8 of an inch because actually it's a hair less than 3/8 of an inch because I measured the narrow part of the houses, and that's 3/8 of an inch. So that's where I got my measurements. So I cut a strip off of a scrap, and then I just cut it down into little squares, and we're going to add these to the back of the houses so that we get a glow from each of the houses, from the windows on each of the houses. So I'm just going to put some glue down and then try to line that up the best I can so that I'll do that for each of the squares. And right now, you can find links for all of the products that I use in the description box below. When you use those links to do your shopping, it lets Kat know that I sent you to her store. And it helps crafters like me because when you use those links, I make a really small commission at no extra cost to you, which helps me continue to be able to bring you free content like I do on my channel. So also, don't forget to do the thumbs up and the subscribe to the Kat Scrappiness channel. We appreciate everyone's support. And we're not finished with the background. I just wanted to show you our little border and how that looks, how that moon looks coming from the back of the houses, how it's rising in the spooky sky. Okay, so what we're going to do is add some splatter to our background. I have some of the, what is this called? This is shimmer paint in gold. And then I also have splatter white from Spellbinders. And we're going to add both of those to give splatter to our night sky. Let me just grab my splatter box. So I have this fan brush, and this is what I use for my splatter. It's kind of stiff right now. It still has a little bit of gold paint on it from my last splatter card. Okay, and I have my Mr. Spray bottle from Kat Scrappiness. I'm going to spray some water onto my glass mat over here in the corner. And then I'm going to open up my gold shimmer paint, or my shimmer paint in gold. Very important tip for if you use the Kat Scrappiness gold shimmer paint, that you want to keep the threads on your jar clean. If you get paint on that, and you close your jar, it's going to seal permanently. Ask me how I know. Okay, so I'm dipping my fan brush into the gold paint, the gold shimmer paint, and I'm just going to dab that onto the watery area on my glass mat. And I'm going to do that twice so I have enough paint. There we go. Oh, I think I might have too much, but we'll see. There's no such thing as too much gold splatter. Okay, so I'm trying to mix it in with that water right over there. And then what I do first, I put the card over to the side, and then this area here, I'm going to tap it on my finger really hard. And that's going to take the initial paint off of the brush. A little tiny bit got on the card, but that doesn't bother me any. And then I'm going to come over the card, and I'm just going to tap my brush on my finger to get the rest of that paint. I think you need to come closer to me. Onto the background. I'm going to grab some more of that gold shimmer paint, tap it off, whoopsie, off the card again, get that initial big splatter off, and then do it above the card again. And I repeat that until I have as much splatter as I'd like. And let me show you all of that wonderful splatter. I'm not sure if it's coming across on camera, but it's brilliant in real life. It's wonderful. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the white splatter. Let me cover up my gold splatter first, so that doesn't dry out. And then some white. Whoopsie. The little protector seal is kind of ripping. Got white paint on my hands now. I'm going to use my Mr. bottle to clean my brush off so I don't add gold paint to my white paint. And then just use my towel over here that's underneath my splatter box to get that residual off. Okay, so just like I did with the gold paint, I'm going to add some water to the glass mat, dunk my brush into the white splatter paint, and then mix it with the water. That just loosens it up and makes it more splatterful. Okay, and then I'm gonna do off a couple times because I got this on here really heavy. Okay, there we go. And that looks like we got the perfect amount. I'm going to clean this up and we'll finish up our card. So now I've let all of the splatter dry so we can do our sentiment. And the sentiment is from the Within the Fold sentiment sampler, and I'm going to use Just Wanted to Say Hello. So I've got my card base in the corner of my stamping platform, and I'm just going to prep my stamp while it's on the sheet, because you just want to get the letters, the side with the letters, not the flat side, because you want to keep that still able to remain sticky. And I've laid out my stamped images so that I know where I want my sentiment to lie. So I've got that there. I can take all these off now. And we'll prep it with some powder. Brush off the excess. Okay, we're done with that. Then with some Versamark ink. This is a clear sticky ink that will grab hold of the embossing powder. We're going to stamp that a couple times. Make sure that it's nice and sticky so that we get a clear sentiment when we warm up that embossing powder. Second time, make sure that hello gets in. And I always lift it up really slow so that my paper doesn't move. I've got some white superfine embossing powder. Just going to, I got a little on the edge here. Grab a spoonful of that, sprinkle it on the top. Tap off the excess. And then I switch sides and do it in the opposite direction. There we go. Tap off the excess. Oh, we got a lot of excess there. I don't know why it's like to stick right there. I'm pretty sure my panel is pretty dry. So I'm going to set all this aside and grab my heat tool. And when I warm up the embossing powder, I always do it from underneath. I get it prevents the embossing powder from being overheated. So I'm going to turn this on and warm it up. Okay, ooh, got a little smoke. But if you look and see, my sentiment's very clear. And yeah, perfect. Now it's time to put our card together. We're going to start with our little holiday village here. Just add some glue to the back. Make sure we get all of the edges and all the houses and the trees. So everything sticks down just as it should, and we're going to line that up with the corner, the bottom corner. Make sure that edge matches up to the card front and lay that down. There we go. Add our characters. This witch is so cute, and I love her little purple hat and her braids. I think I'm going to send this card to my great-granddaughter, my eldest great-granddaughter. She just turned 7 in July. And our ghost, and I already heat embossed the word boo in, I used VersaFine Onyx Black ink and clear superfine embossing powder. And I'm just going to give him a little tilt to the right. Okay, and our bat. And we're just about done. We're in the home stretch. And then I'm going to add a couple of these white heart sprinkles. I think we'll put one over on that side of the sentiment and on this side of the sentiment. Then I'll use my Kat Scrappiness Hokey pickup tool And it has a wax tip at the end, so it can pick up our embellishments really easily and set them down right where we want them. And that's it. Here's our card for today. Thank you so much for watching, and stick around for the coloring of the witch, her dress and her hat, and the ghost. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.